Good evening, everyone. I am your NFL analyst, and this evening I'm going to be talking about why the Ravens should be worried or extremely worried, as I've written right here. So this video, it will be my second video on the channel. I decided to make this after this happened. So the Baltimore Ravens, 7 wins, 4 losses. The Jacksonville Jaguars, 4 wins, 7 losses. It's actually funny. These two, 7-4, 4-7. But anyway, we lost and somehow managed to lose to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Which is horrible because the Jaguars are really bad, but except in our case, they were really good because they managed to somehow beat us. This is what happened during the first quarter. We were up 6-0. We had 2 drives where Justin Tucker had to kick 3-pointers, but in the second quarter, Jacksonville managed to get the first touchdown of the game. We were able to score only 3 points again and again, and the next thing you know, Jacksonville scores 18 points in the fourth quarter and beats us 28-27 in a really, really embarrassing fashion. So after this loss, this is the 2022 season. We were really good, and we have had an issue with consistency. Every Ravens fan knows that we have lost a bunch of our games that we could have won. We have blown leads that shouldn't have been blown. Realistically, we could have been up 11-0, except the Giants lost because the Giants actually gave us a really good fight. This loss was so embarrassing that at the end I was kind of fine that the Jacksonville Jaguars got the win over us because it's almost like they deserve to win over us. That's how they played, and especially shout out to Trevor Lawrence on how well he was able to perform last night, or last afternoon, I guess, after the unexpected weather delay that took place, which delayed the game by, I believe, 15 minutes. So this is currently the Ravens wide receivers. Here's Rashad Bateman, and he is out. Our first round receiver from Minnesota is not playing anymore due to an injury. Devin Duvernay is basically our wide receiver number 1 at this point, out of the University of Texas. He's a really good guy. He's our punt returner, and he's been doing really well. Except, it's him and Mark Andrews, and it's just them. Shout out to Demarcus Robinson. He's been doing really well recently. He's really stepping up the game to be a wide receiver, but it's just not enough to help Lamar be the guy he can be. And then you have Tylan Wallace and James Prochet, who are basically no-showers. I don't know if it's a talent issue or it's a work ethic issue or what's going on. I feel these two have shown flashes of being good receivers, but you just don't see them on the field that often. So if I would say, if there's basically the receivers we have on the Ravens are Rashad Bateman, who's out for the year, Devin Duvernay, who does really well, but you can't always rely on him, and then Demarcus Robinson, who's been doing well recently, but could definitely do better. And of course, Deshaun Jackson, who scored his annual touchdown of the year with every single team. Well, it wasn't a touchdown in our case, but he caught a really good pass from Lamar. And that will be it for Deshaun Jackson for this year till he gets released by week 4 of next year. Because that's all he's been doing for the past 3-4 years, I believe. He ends up on a different team. He catches like a really, really big pass or a touchdown, and he just dips. So I feel Deshaun Jackson's role with the Ravens has been done. So thank you, Deshaun. The first thing I want to address is the Lamar hate, especially after last afternoon's horrible, horrible loss. Is this So Lamar Jackson, obviously being the guy he is, he's faced a lot of issues. And when I talk about issues, it's not issues with himself, but it's just the Lamar hate that's been circulating ever since he got drafted. Even before he got drafted, there were a lot of people and NFL analysts who wanted to convert him to a running back or wide receiver. And, they weren't really happy when he went with the decision of being a quarterback, and especially not happy at all after the success he's had in the very few years he's been in the NFL, including winning MVP in his second year. I mean, that's something that's never been done before, and Lamar's the only one who's done it because, yeah, no one else has done it before, but it's really sad how much hate Lamar gets, no matter how good he does or bad he does. Lamar recently, for the first time I've seen in the past 4.5 years of following him, ever since he got drafted by the Baltimore Ravens, yeah, he made a tweet that was surprising. But he got upset, alright? There were fans, for some reason, blaming him for last night's loss, last afternoon's loss. And the next thing you know, when Lamar suddenly has the first, I guess, mental breakdown in 4.5 years of the media and all the fans across, including Ravens fans across the NFL, constantly hating on him every day. And then the next thing you know, ESPN, Lamar had to meet for out of character tweet, or Ravens have to address offensive tweet, or insensitive tweet. It's just, you're spiraling this out, alright? You have NFL players who tweet rubbish all the time, but no one questions them. But the moment Lamar does something, it's suddenly a really big issue. Because Lamar's Lamar, right? So, why isn't Josh Allen being called out on this tweet that he made a while ago? Or maybe the one here? Or maybe Nick Bosa, defensive end from Ohio State who plays for the 49ers, his girlfriend actually tweeting this: "I swear to you, I am that magnet." Well, when other players make horrible, horrible, controversial tweets, people are sleeping and not having an issue, but when Lamar says something back and actually fights back for once, then suddenly it's really insensitive and out of character, quote unquote. I mean, you should have seen my face right now, because I'm still making expressions, but I'm just talking to you through a video. This is not right. This Lamar hate is just not acceptable. And you need to understand, Lamar is, Ravens fan or not, he's a generational talent, alright? There is no player like Lamar Jackson out there. You won't see any Lamar Jackson coming in anytime soon. Lamar is Lamar. Instead of hating on it, appreciate what he has to offer to the table. Another hatred issue I guess I have to talk about is in an article published by Mike Sando of The Athletic. An anonymous NFL defensive coordinator had an interesting take. I read this a while ago, and I can assure you, I have never been more shocked. That anonymous defensive coordinator said, if he has to pass to win the game, they ain't winning the game. He's so unique as an athlete, but he's a really good football player. But I don't give a shit if he wins the league MVP 12 times. I don't think he'll ever be one as a quarterback. I mean, come on. Seriously, how big of a hater do you have to be to talk about a guy who wins MVP 12 times and you still don't consider him a quarterback? He goes on to say he'll be one as a football player, but not as a quarterback. So many games come down to 2 minutes. That's why they have a hard time advancing, even when they're good on defense. Playoffs are tight. You have to be able to throw the ball, and he's just so inconsistent throwing the ball. There's a hit or a miss. I mean, come on. He's got one of the highest completion percentages in league history. He's got one of the best winning records in league history of any team, not just the Ravens, of any team. You've had the greatest quarterback of all time, Tom Brady, repeatedly say, if anyone wants to fill my shoes, it's Lamar. And you're at this anonymous defensive coordinator, doesn't even have the guts to step out and say, oh, I don't believe in Lamar or why Lamar is bad, at least learn how to give a logical reason. Another tweeter by Warren Sharp talking about, oh, Lamar had this tweet was made on July 11th, 2022. This was the 2021 season when Lamar had his team as number one in the AFC in early December, despite being the number one most injured team in history. I mean, last year was horrible for people who followed the Ravens, including me. Literally everyone was injured. And Lamar was somehow carrying this team to the number one seed. He ranked number one in the NFL throwing outside the numbers and was top 10 in NFL rush yards when healthy. The thing that the Ravens don't realize is the Ravens got a small glimpse of Lamar Jackson with them, or excuse me, without, or the Ravens got a glimpse of them without Lamar Jackson. Guess what happened? After his injury, Baltimore went 0-5. We didn't make the playoffs, folks. We did not. But then, after all of his accomplishments, he's not a top 10 quarterback. I mean, look at this list from last year. Aaron Rodgers, sure. Mahomes, sure. Allen, sure. Brady, sure. I agree with those four. I mean, those four are always at the top. It's good. Burrow and all these guys, you can sure flip all of these guys back and forth. You're telling me a guy named Deshaun Watson, who hasn't played in years, because instead of throwing the football out there, he was too busy doing whatever off-field stuff that he's done, and constantly going to court, being rated as the number 9 guy ahead of basically any quarterback, including Lamar. I mean, that's just basically hating on Lamar Jackson without any logical reason. The second issue that the Ravens really need to address is Greg Roman, who is the offensive coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens. He is one of the best run offense coordinators in the league. There's no doubt about it. It's what he did in Buffalo. It's what he's doing here. Except it doesn't work anymore. All right, it's been horrible. That's the one word I can describe it. Greg Roman has his moments. Don't get me wrong. He does a great job when it comes to running the ball. We are one of the best teams when it comes to running the ball. No one is as good as us. But the universal rule of football is you got to throw at some point. And if you cannot design plays where your quarterback can comfortably throw, or even throw at all, trust me, you're not a good coordinator. And I feel that's something everyone knows by now. There's actually 2 videos that I found out. This channel named Highlight Mini Castle uploaded a video of Dan breaking down how predictable the Ravens offense is. I mean, whenever I watch the offense during a Ravens game, I know half the time what's going to happen. Or actually, I'm just being humble. I know way more than half the time what's going to happen. It's too predictable. All right, quarterback runs, quarterback sneaks, tossing the ball, it's just slants or whatever. And then once in a while, oh my gosh, it's more than a 10-yard throw. I mean, that's a big deal for us. The worst one is this one. It's Kurt Warner breaking down the Ravens' offensive scheme. When I saw this video, it hurt. All right, it hurt watching, considering this right here on the right side is an NFL team. You have players who get paid millions to do this, whatever Kurt Warner is talking about. And it was horrible to see. And this, I feel most of the bad credit, in a way, goes to Greg Roman, because he's the one who's making this happen. So if the Ravens really have any hopes of being a good team at all when it comes to the offense, and if they have any hopes for a Super Bowl, that's going to happen only when this dude is gone for good. Alright, I can promise you, Ravens fans, we will never win a Super Bowl with Greg Roman as offensive coordinator. That's just not going to happen. I feel this is a fact that's been known for a while, and it's just there, and it's just going to continue the way it is. I hate being rough on the Ravens because I believe they're a really good and talented team. Their bond is incredible, but there are these some pieces really holding the potential back. and I feel Greg Roman is one of the only pieces remaining. I mean, it's a horrible thing out there. Because when you struggle against a team like the Jags, trust me, you have a problem. And, addressing the elephant in the room, Lamar Jackson is, I feel he's one of the only reasons why the Ravens have had a winning record over the past 3 or 4 years. I mean, he's the guy making those incredible throws that people claim that he cannot throw. He's the one bringing in the stats, the rushing, the touchdowns, the rushing touchdowns. He's the one doing the main job. And the reason why I put, I guess, his picture here is his contract extension that's going to come soon. That's something I'm going to talk about in another video. But it's going to be really interesting to see this offseason, how it's going to go. But I feel there's only two ways that it goes at this point, considering how bad it's been for Lamar and the Ravens as well. I feel unless the Ravens fire Greg Roman and commit some serious money to Lamar Jackson to give him that guarantee that, yes, we do indeed believe in you as our QB1, I wouldn't be too disappointed or surprised if Lamar says, okay, I'm going to walk. And he goes out there and gets his bag. Because if there were any other quarterback in his place taking that amount of hate, I don't think they would have survived in the NFL. I mean, the kind of daily hate that Lamar gets, it's kind of sickening to watch at this point as an analyst. All right, as a guy who's been following the NFL for years and studying players and writing reports on them, and, I recently started, publishing them because I'm not sure why I waited so long, but, this guy right here, Lamar, he's really been carrying this team. And I'm not saying he's the only one doing it, but he's one of the big reasons why the Ravens are the Baltimore Ravens and why they're good. But unless they can make those changes, I think Lamar, beyond a point, should take the walk and actually focus on his own career for once, instead of being the team player he always has been. This is the third issue I'm going to talk about. It's the Ravens defense. After yesterday's game, I don't even know what to say. I mean, how do you mess that up? It's horrible. I mean, the Jags were I believe on their own 10 with a minute 30 to go, and they ended up scoring a touchdown and get 2 points. You're talking about a defense that has Marlon Humphrey, All-Pro cornerback, Marcus Peters, All-Pro, Roquan Smith, the best linebacker, Patrick Queen, one of the best linebackers from LSU, Kyle Hamilton, first-round pick from Notre Dame, Justin Madubuike, Texas A&M, Calais Campbell, Chuck Clark, Geno Stone, Iowa, Odafe. I mean, I haven't heard this guy's name once this season. Last year, he had a really good year. And, they were talking about how he's going to be a really, really good second-year player. I haven't heard this guy's name once. I have watched most games. I haven't heard this guy once. I've mostly heard Justin Houston. Well, I've basically heard Justin Houston when it comes to sacks. It's only Justin Houston. Madubuike once or Calais once, but that's it. I haven't heard anything about Odafe, so he needs to step up. And Jason Pierre-Paul. You're telling me this star-studded roster right here, such a highly accomplished, such good names, you do this. You actually manage to lose to the Jacksonville Jaguars. I mean, and you end up giving 15 points during the fourth quarter, and especially a touchdown and 2 points during the last 1 minute 30 seconds. I mean, that's got to be embarrassing, That's just got to be really, really horrible. And this defense need to step up big time, or trust me, we might be number one in our division right now. But as teams get closer and closer to the playoffs, it's going to get really ugly, and I wouldn't be too surprised if we have a bad end result. the Ravens defense has to they don't need to improve, they need to stay consistent. That's the word I would use. The consistency is the part we're missing. Yeah, I mean, this isn't an issue, but I just want to say to Justin Tucker, who last night for sure, he addressed in an interview that he could have done a better job kicking that field goal. Look, it's not your fault, alright? 67 yards is a bit ridiculous. He tried his best. We all know he's the greatest kicker of all time. That was not Justin Tucker's fault, alright? If anything, that was the Ravens' defense fault, that they couldn't stop the Jaguars' offense. I mean, it still shocks me that the Jaguars' offense, a pro-style quarterback named Trevor Lawrence, an overpaid wide receiver in Christian Kirk, an O-line that's not that impressive, other wide receivers, a tight end, managed to actually get through this roster on defense. I mean, you've got to be kidding me. This wasn't Justin Tucker's fault. He needs to stop blaming himself. And the third issue, really, or fourth issue, I guess, I need to address from where the Ravens are going to go is the injuries. I mean, look at this. Jalen Armour-Davis is our new cornerback. He was out. Calais Campbell was questionable. Gus was questionable. Hamilton was questionable. Houston's out. Lamar played. Marcus played, but they were still questionable. Ronnie was out. I mean, Stanley, we're paying him, what, $20 million a year? When he's healthy, he's the best left tackle in the league. That's been known for a while, but he's not been healthy. Seidler had illness. I'm pretty sure he was out. Robinson, Duvernay were questionable. They ended up playing, but the risk was still there. Likely was out, and JPP was out. This injury report is horrible. I mean, we're getting closer and closer to the playoffs, and half our freaking team is out. Alright, this is not bad. This is really bad. The Baltimore Ravens really, really need to evaluate how they can keep their players healthy instead of having half the team out every single week. This is the injury report from 2 days ago. This is not last year. This is 2 days ago. And this doesn't even include J.K. Dobbins. I mean, I don't see J.K. Dobbins' name on here. I took this picture from the official Ravens website. So Dobbins' name should have been on here, but it's not, which is sad, but Dobbins was out as well. So the Ravens really need to focus on getting healthy. And yeah, that basically winds up this entire video on me breaking down the Ravens issues. I will go more in depth over time of how these issues can be fixed or how bad these issues are. I know this is a long video and I'm basically sort of going on a rant about why the Ravens are doing a bad job as a team, but this has been the NFL Analyst. Thank you for listening to me today. I am currently developing a website where you can read all this stuff and view it as you go along, and I recently made a Twitter, so I will be posting their links in the description as I develop those websites more. And again, please like, share, and subscribe to this video, and have a good day.